Welcome to Cancer Conversations at the Pub, where stories are shared, burdens are lightened, and no one fights alone. So pull up a chair, grab a drink, and join host Jon Yoder with the survivorsjourney.org, because here at this table, you are never alone.
Hey, welcome to Cancer Conversations at the Pub. We have Jon Littlewood today, and we're going to talk a little bit about, well, a lot about things, about all types of things today. And you and I have known each other a long time, and I think it's time we recorded a lot of our conversations, ones that we can share with other people, But today, let's talk about cancer and how it affected your life.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So my wife was diagnosed back in 2017. She was 35 with breast cancer, hormone fed. It was her second cancer. She was previously diagnosed when she was in high school with rhabdomyosarcoma. Tough one to get out.
Have another
beer, yeah. So we immediately got on the case. She was a medical professional. She was working as an X-ray tech, and we immediately got on the case, and we had our tumor board honestly expedited through some friends that we had, and she was underway shortly thereafter. It was a really quick process. She's a little bit of a unicorn because of two unrelated cancers before the age of 35.
Right.
And she was very dangerous because not only was she a medical professional, but she had already been through this. She spent a year at CHOP with the rhabdomyosarcoma, with her mom, and chemo radiation for that. And then, we were heading right back into chemo and radiation.
Yeah, good heavens.
Yeah.
But I will say this, your wife is beautiful. I mean, she's a beautiful person, and I'm kind of afraid of her. So, so I will say this, because I've known her a long time. I've known her, decades, you and her both. And we've always had a great relationship. I kid, but no, I really kind of am afraid of her. But it's enormous, isn't it? Like the whole thing when it hits, and you have not only had it once,
twice.
Yeah. And going through it. And what's more is, you've got young kids,
Yes. Our kids were 9 and 4. My son was just finishing up second grade. My daughter was in preschool. Right. So you're immediately going to, how is this going to affect them?
Yeah.
Right. And it's almost more difficult than dealing with the diagnosis is, how do you tell the kids at such a young age, and will they understand, and what will they understand? How scared will they be?
Right.
But we had a really good support system at the time. The teachers they had were phenomenal. Honestly, couldn't probably have made it through without them. They did such a great job for us, both at their elementary school and daycare. So much support there. And then my parents live literally 4 minutes away from us. So, they were always at the beck and call.
Yeah. It's good and bad.
It is good and bad. It's good. Yes. My mom, she's a wonderful woman.
She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. She'll see this. So she's a wonderful woman.
I know. She may stop in here shortly. But the other thing was, she was a wage earner. She had a really great job, and she was good at her job. And, that was no longer an option for us. And I was very lucky to say that my employer was excellent throughout the whole process. And I know another group of people that I probably wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Yeah. And that's important. I mean, honestly, because when, just to relate it to me, when I went through it, it was really important to have that.
Yes.
The agency I was with at the time was just so supportive. That's, because the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Well, and the survivor and the caregivers,
Sure.
And to have that, a bit of relief, through it all, it's amazing. It's amazing. Because there's folks out there that sadly don't have that. They don't have that. And it's something. How did the kids adjust? Because they turned out great. The kids. Yeah,
my son turned out great. Yeah. My daughter, she's figuring it out still, I think.
She's got time, yeah.
She's got time. She's wonderful, but she has time. Our whole goal was to make sure that it was kind of like seamless for them, right? That their life didn't end because this happened. And that's very challenging to try to to make sure you're getting to the appointments and supporting, my wife and doing all of that. But at the same time, making sure they're not missing out on the things that kids get to be a part of. Right. So all the extracurriculars, the sporting events, all the stuff that they wanted to do, you still want to try to get them there. And again, that's where, having an employer that really was willing to work with me, was fantastic. Yeah. I don't know about Stephanie, but, for me, your wife, for me, work became my safe space, right? Like that was the place I could go to, and it was like the stress relief, right? Because my mind was off of it. I had to focus on my job. Right. I still don't know how I made it through, but you do, right? You put your head down and grind and you get it done. And, it really was a little bit of a release for me, as strange as that might sound.
No, I think it's true. I think it's true. And as we talked about, as you already know, my wife teaches 5-year-olds, 17 5-year-olds. So when she came home to me, it's a bit, it's even worse, for her. But she works for a religious order, which really, and they were just wonderful with everything. They accommodate, and first of all, their prayers are still keeping me alive. Sure. And some of this, but, some of that's helping out. But the sisters, they've been absolutely wonderful. And that is, the support network has been great. Your kids had support as well. The whole network extends to all of that. Yeah. But let me ask you this, how did you feel? Like, when it first hit for you, what was the impact? Like, what was your first thought?
I will never forget the day that she called. It was a morning. I was in a meeting, and, right away she was like, I need you to come to the office. So I quick ran down there. I had never really had much adversity in life, right? Like my life had been pretty smooth sailing. My parents were relatively healthy. Yeah. My grandparents were still relatively
Your mother kept you from all that.
Right. And, yeah. Right. So, I had never had anything large hit me, and, so we you try to be as supportive as possible, especially because I'm not the one going through it. She was, right? It's shocking, right? It's a major blow. Right. But I think I'm more of the type of person, and maybe much to her chagrin sometimes, is I can't dwell on things, right? Like, if something happens, all right, it happened. I'll talk about it. I'll listen. I'll think about it for a minute. Right. And then it's like, all right, well, how do I fix it? Right. Right. What do I do to make this better or make this right? Right. And that would kind of turned into the goal, right? Like it was every day, all day, trying to make sure that, again, the kids were good. We were keeping communication with all of our family members, our friends. And then what's the course? How do we treat this? And how do we get on the right path?
Right. Excuse me. And from it was kind of similar for us. I mean, my wife wanted to know how, why, where, when, 1,000 questions. Yeah. And why does this happen to him? And I was the exact opposite. All right, I've got the bad news. I'm packing my bag and we're going. Yeah. Forward. Right. That's what you got to do.
Well, and your wife's not a medical professional either, right?
No.
So it's absolute jargon, and it's above me. Right. And I can remember at one point telling the oncologist, like, keep it simple for me, right? Like, I'm a banker. I don't know what you're talking about. I need cancer for dummies. Speak slowly. At this moment. Speak slowly, right?
Listen, so I'm a banker for almost 30 years. Right. So yeah, speak slower for me.
Right. Right. So you're sitting there and they're using big words and they're using big terms, and much like you and your wife, like I'm sitting there going, oh boy, what does that mean? What does this mean? And I'm trying to take I got the advice to take a notebook and write everything down. Right. Right. And I'm trying to write it all down, and I gave up, it's like, just tell us what we need to do.
Right. And I get you a doctor that draws pictures, because I have a doctor now that draws pictures, right? He'll take, fantastic. Like he'll print out all my meds, and then on the back of them he'll just print out, he'll just draw these. Here's what's going to happen. Here's how this works. Here's this, cancer molecule. This is going to, all right, this is great. It's cartoons for me. That's as simple as he can make it for me. Right. And he clearly knows me. Right. He's been my oncologist for 8 years. So, he clearly knows how he has to bring that down.
Right.
Here's normal conversation. Right. To bring it down to my level.
Right.
But it was the impact on, that was what we had. It was together, like I had to say to her, listen, I'll take care of this. I'll take care of this. Mm-hmm. You take care of everything else.
Yeah.
And, because at some point, even Carrie, they need to be isolated. They need to be, they need to be,
they need time to recuperate.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't be around people. You can't be around,
right.
Where there has to be maybe one chosen caregiver. And in my case, the doctor said, listen, you're going to go through the stem cell transplant. You get one caregiver, one. And it shouldn't be the woman that works with 17 5-year-olds. You're going to be so compromised, and she's a petri dish of everything that comes in. Yep. So for me, it was my mother, luckily, who suddenly became a drill sergeant. Like she wasn't when I was growing up, but it's like, here, we're going to do this and this, get these jogging pants on you. It's like, I was 4 again because my mother's like, come on, we'll put these jogging pants on you. Let's go.
Animals.
Yeah.
Whip them out every morning.
I do. A little banker, have little loan notes on it. Yeah. And she's like, put these on, we're going, and that was my life. But, frankly, I needed it.
Right.
Because you get so lost in everything. And Carrie was probably worse to a degree because she knew all the jargon. She knew all the words. If it's this, it's this. If it's that, it's that.
To this day, that's still hard for us, right? Because she still does know all that stuff.
Right.
And, I think she expected me right off the bat to become a doctor, and that just wasn't in the cards. There wasn't enough time in the day to do that, right? So I relied on her knowledge to tell me, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling.
Right.
Right. And to your point, I think there's a little bit of isolation there, right? Because, your social life ends.
Yes.
Right. Even though you try to do it.
Yes.
Right. And then when your friends do see you, right, John, like you're always so positive and happy and well put together. Your friends see and they're like, oh, he must be all right.
He's great.
Look at him. He's
great.
Laughing, cracking jokes. Yeah. It's like the old John, like we always knew. Right.
Yeah, right.
And that was a struggle, right? Because it's not like people don't believe you have cancer, but when you look good on the outside, people just think, oh, everything's great.
Yeah. You don't look sick.
Right.
That was the thing. You don't look sick. Well, look at Carrie now. Beautiful.
Right.
Doesn't look, it's clearly not what's going on.
It's not what's going on.
It's not what's going on. I'm lucky I can, pinch a few nurses here and there and a few bartenders as well. Speaking of, where is that?
There's your camera right there. Look at there.
I'll be going down over here. I'm done for.
Yeah. There's the end of the podcast.
Remember when I told you I phoned my confessions in? This is the one.
This is the one.
This is the one.
But no, there's a lot of change, right? And I'm sure you felt it too as a sociable person. You like to go out and hang out and have your beers, and you like to take your trips to England. And it really throws a wrench into a lot of stuff, a lot of things really fast. Yeah. Right.
No, it's true. But that, you coped with it. If looking at it as an observer, you coped with it well. In the end, you're coping with it well. Now it's standard operating procedure.
It is. It's our routine.
You know what to do and when to do it. And the kids are, and everyone, your parents, everybody, we could do a whole episode on your grandparents. We could do a whole, we could do a week's worth.
We could do a week's worth. And Mr. T would love that too.
He would love it. He would. Wonderful people. But you coped with it well. And that's a strategy that lots of people are struggling with.
I don't know if it's a strategy, John. I think it's just one of those things where it was difficult to take help.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Oh, well,
right. It's hard to take help.
Yeah.
And it's hard to accept that. Right. I remember, we had friends that wanted to do a meal train, right. And bring food. And I'm like, Carrie, I don't want to do this. I'm good. But once they started coming,
right.
You're like, oh man, that family, they eat good. You know what I mean? Those people make some really good.
Thank Kevin's.
Yeah, thank Kevin's, right? And then, they wanted to do the fundraiser. And, I was like, oh, I don't feel good about this, but in the end, like every little bit helps, right? Yes. And like, I remember the night of the fundraiser, that was like kind of one of the first nights that Carrie and I were back in. It was social situation that we could enjoy ourselves a little bit and relax. And, see our friends and do all of that.
Right.
So, it's hard to accept that help, right? And to overcome that, right? But once you do, you're good. Again, I don't like to sit for too long, right? So
Right.
I can't dwell on it. I had 2 kids to kind of keep moving,
Yeah.
right? And had a job. So,
Right.
it was not that I didn't understand the severity of it or what was going on, but, it was go to work, get my job done, go home, take care of the kids, take care of Carrie, right? And get her to her treatments, get her to her appointments.
Right. And you mentioned fundraisers. I mean, that was I did a couple of fundraisers, but again, I'm with you on it. I felt strange,
Right.
having to do this, kind of thing. But there's a cost to what we have to go through,
Absolutely.
and it's not all covered. And sadly for us, we decided to do a different, but there is a cost to this.
Sure.
Besides the physical, the mental, there's a financial cost to this. And we could do a whole week on just the financial cost to these things. And we all do very well. I mean, bankers used to do better. You know what I mean?
Wink, wink.
But that plays into all of this.
Sure.
When you're first diagnosed, there's a litany of pains, not just the physical stuff. There's a litany of pains. For me, it was, I had a prescription. It was $650 a pill.
Right. Where's that coming from?
Yeah. Right.
Where's that coming from?
So then you have to go to this, but you have to apply for this and you have to do that. And you have to navigate this. None of that's easy.
None of it's easy.
None of it's easy. And then asking for help. You have to call this foundation and say, listen, I can't afford $11,000 or whatever it was a month. I can't afford it.
As a professional for so many years, right?
Right.
Were you used to giving the 25, 30, $50 here and there to different charities and different nonprofits and all that stuff and to help people out. And now you're the one asking for it.
And I would put beer baskets together, volunteer, do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And do all that. And now it's me hat in hand.
Yeah.
Which is a matter of pride that you have to get over.
Yeah. It's humbling.
It absolutely is humbling. It absolutely is humbling. But at the end of it, I'm exponentially more grateful.
Sure.
Than I was when I started it.
Yep.
And if nothing else comes from it, it's the gratitude that I now have.
Yep.
Is that my community came together and said, he needs help. And we don't know how to respond, but he's asking this, so we'll do this.
Yep.
And it was great. It was absolutely, and that's a lesson. Like there's a lesson to be learned there. And
it's hard to believe how many people actually like you, right? Like,
no, it's true.
How many people have I upset over or think that I'm a jerk, right?
Yeah. All the people I've turned down in my 29 years, all the people I've said, nope, can't do that loan.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
But in the end, it wasn't about my ego, and it wasn't about your,
right.
It wasn't about the comfort that
right.
we provided. It was about staying alive. It was about keeping what we have.
Well, yeah. I mean, your kids were young too. I mean,
yes.
Yes.
They were, I've been
a couple years older than mine. 12,
16, my kids were.
Right.
And,
which is a whole different animal, right? I mean, mine were little, not really knowing. Yours were right in the heart of it, in the thick of it with you.
Yeah. It was great. I'll never forget. My son, stayed with me. I made an apartment downstairs for myself. Right before this, we put a bathroom in and my son stayed with me. He slept on the couch and I slept on the bed. He felt well enough away, but he wanted to make sure I was all right.
Yeah.
And my daughter changed her life career. She was like, I want to be a forensic psychologist. And then I got cancer. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to be a registered dietitian.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I still don't listen to her. It's not helping. It's not helping. She,
protein and calories. They're good calories.
Yeah. You may not want to, oh, come on. What do you mean?
We can break out that non-alcoholic whiskey. That'll make her happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have you try that, and you're gonna say this is pepper water. But no, it's great. So, but the kids are great, and everyone is doing well.
Yeah, everyone's doing fantastic. I think they're well adjusted. My daughter is definitely daddy's girl.
Great.
Right. I mean, that was one of.
What does she want to do when she?
Oh boy. you know, my son is very interested in all of this, the sound engineering and all that.
Chad's looking for help.
I mean, I think my daughter, she loves cop shows.
Oh,
so, maybe, but she's
forensic psychologist.
she's afraid to go in the basement by herself. So I don't know how far that's going to go.
Well, that rules out exterminator.
No, they're good, you know, and you know, they've learned to adjust and they understand our schedules are different. Right. And, you know, we're not a normal family, right? Like we have different limitations than other families do. And, you know, there's times where that creeps up and, you know, there's some, I don't know how to say it, but, you know, they're jealous of some stuff that they see other families doing, right? Because, you know, they're going places and doing these things and sometimes mom is tired or whatever. Or we're going to appointments, right? Like, so survivorship, I mean, that's probably the next thing we could talk about, right? Because, I mean, you get through treatment, that's the first part of it, right? There's all the stuff that comes from after treatment. And, you know, we've switched our care to Philadelphia down the Penn and, you know, it's just not, you jump in the car and drive 12 minutes to go to a doctor's appointment, right? You're driving in a car for 2.5 hours, right? So, you know, there's a lot of arrangements for the kids, that they don't get to be around. Every once in a while we take them with us just to walk around the city a little bit. But, you know, I think they're well adjusted. I think they're both doing well and, you know, hopefully that continues.
Well, Littlewood Part 2 will have Carrie up here as well. You know, we'll talk about survivorship and life after.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely.
But you'll be between us because I'm still a bit afraid of her. Still a little afraid. In fact, I hear her voice and I went a little in my pants just hearing her voice. It's not good. It's not good. She really does put the fear in me.
Yeah.
She's great. She's great. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for coming out and having a drink with us.
It's great to be here and having a beer with you.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for everything.